All right, so today we're gonna dive into a topic that might seem like kind of old school global pensions.
Okay.
Um, I'll be honest, when I hear the word pension, I kind of picture my grandparents just kind of relaxing, enjoying their golden years. But
Hmm.
the thing is, global pension wealth is anything but outdated.
Right.
It's a massive $25 trillion market,
Yeah.
which is actually more than 20% of the entire global GDP.
Wow.
That's a number I truly did not expect.
It's a figure that often surprises people, and what's even more interesting is how this wealth is distributed globally.
Okay.
The U.S. alone holds nearly half of all global pension assets.
Wow, nearly half.
Yeah,
That's a huge chunk.
it is.
Why is that? Does it have something to do with the U.S. having such a mature and developed financial market?
You're spot on. There's a definite correlation.
Okay.
Countries with the largest pension holdings like the U.S. tend to have well-established stock and bond markets. It's almost like a chicken and egg situation.
Yeah.
A mature financial system allows for large pension funds to thrive, and these funds in turn contribute to the growth and stability of the market.
So does that mean a country's pension assets can give us like a clue about the overall health of its financial system?
Absolutely. Think of it this way. Pension funds are essentially giant investors.
Okay.
They need stable and diverse markets to invest in, and those markets, in turn, benefit from the influx of pension fund capital.
Gotcha.
It creates a sort of positive feedback loop.
That makes a lot of sense, but then that makes the case of India really interesting, right?
Yeah.
India's economy is growing so rapidly, but it only holds something like 1% of global pension assets.
Right.
What does that tell us?
That's a great question, and it brings up a point worth considering. India's pension system is still developing.
Okay.
As the country's economy continues to grow and more people enter the formal workforce, we'll likely see significant growth in their pension assets as well.
So it's almost like watching a snapshot in time. India's pension landscape could look very different in the coming decades.
Precisely. And this growth could have a ripple effect influencing India's financial markets and potentially attracting even more global investment.
This is really making me think about the interconnectedness of all these systems. Pensions, financial markets, national economies. It's like a giant, intricate web.
You've hit the nail on the head, and just like any web, a change in one part can send vibrations throughout the whole structure. Now, there are some challenges on the horizon that could impact this global web of pensions.
Oh, like what?
Well, we're all living longer.
Yeah.
And that's fantastic.
Right.
But a global aging population puts a strain on pension systems worldwide. We've got more people drawing pensions and fewer people contributing.
So are we heading toward a global pension crisis?
Not necessarily a crisis, but definitely some significant challenges.
Okay.
In the U.S., for example, public pensions are facing a funding shortfall. Think along the lines of $1.6 trillion.
That's a truly mind-boggling number.
Yeah.
What are pension funds doing to address this shortfall?
They're having to get a bit more creative looking for ways to generate higher returns.
But isn't that risky?
It can be. Pension funds are traditionally considered very risk-averse.
Yeah.
But this pressure to bridge the funding gap is pushing them into potentially riskier investment strategies.
So it's like a balancing act trying to find that sweet spot between generating enough returns to meet their obligations without jeopardizing the security of the funds.
Exactly. And this challenge is further complicated by another major trend, the shift away from traditional pensions, particularly for younger generations.
Right. I've definitely heard about that here in the U.S. It seems like 401k plans have become the norm.
That's correct. 401k plans give individuals more control over their retirement investments, but they also place more responsibility on their shoulders.
So less of a safety net and more of a DIY approach to retirement planning.
That's a good way to put it. And this brings us to another interesting comparison, how other countries are handling this transition.
Yeah, like what about India? They have provident funds, right?
Yeah.
Are those similar to 401ks?
Provident funds are a type of retirement savings plan common in India. There are some similarities to 401k plans in that individuals contribute a portion of their earnings and the money is invested. But a key difference is that the level of control individuals have over their provident fund investments can vary.
So there's still some uncertainty about how those funds are managed and what kind of returns people can expect.
Exactly. And that lack of clarity is a crucial factor to consider, especially as more and more people worldwide find themselves responsible for managing their own retirement savings.
Yeah.
So
It's a lot to think about.
it is.
It is a lot to think about. I mean, managing like day-to-day finances is one thing,
Right.
but planning for retirement decades down the line, it feels like a whole different ballgame.
Yeah, it definitely requires a long-term perspective and a willingness to adapt to changing circumstances.
Yeah.
One of the big unknowns, of course, is the future performance of financial markets.
Right? Like, who knows what the world is going to look like in 30 or 40 years?
Yeah.
What if there's like another global recession or some unforeseen event that rocks the markets?
Yeah, those are valid concerns. Retirement planning isn't just about picking the right investments.
Right.
It's also about navigating a whole host of potential risks and uncertainties.
Well, for sure.
And we can't forget about inflation, which can significantly erode the value of savings over time.
You're totally right. Inflation is one of those sneaky things that can really creep up on you. It's like you think you're saving enough, but then like the cost of everything goes up and suddenly your nest egg doesn't feel so big anymore.
Exactly. And for people who aren't like well-versed in financial concepts, it can feel overwhelming.
Right.
This is where financial literacy comes in.
I couldn't agree more. Financial literacy is essential, not just for individuals planning for retirement, but like for everyone. It's like a basic life skill
Yeah,
that should be taught in schools right alongside math and science.
absolutely. Understanding concepts like compound interest, risk diversification, and asset allocation
Yeah.
can empower individuals to make informed decisions about their financial future.
It's like giving people the tools they need to build a strong financial foundation.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, retirement planning can feel like a black box for a lot of people.
It can be intimidating, but with the right knowledge and resources, it becomes much more manageable, and it's never too early to start learning.
So if we zoom out from the individual level, what does this shift towards individual responsibility mean for society as a whole?
Well, it raises some important questions about social safety nets and how we as a society support people in their later years.
Because if traditional pension systems are fading, are we putting too much pressure on individuals to manage their own retirement?
That's a crucial point to consider. We need to ensure that people have access to reliable information, sound financial advice, and perhaps even new models of retirement savings that offer more security and stability.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here.
Yeah.
We've talked about like the vastness of global pension wealth, the connection to developed economies, the challenges of an aging population, the shift away from traditional pensions, and the crucial role of financial literacy.
And how these various factors are interconnected and influence each other.
Right, it's like a giant puzzle where each piece affects the overall picture.
Yeah.
So where does this leave us? What's like the takeaway for our listeners?
I think the key takeaway is this: we're at a pivotal moment in the evolution of retirement planning.
Okay.
The old models are being challenged and new approaches are emerging. This presents both risks and opportunities.
It's like we're standing at a crossroads with multiple paths ahead.
Precisely. And it's up to each individual and each society to choose the path that best meets their needs and values.
So even though retirement might seem far off for some, it's crucial to start thinking about these issues now.
Absolutely. The choices we make today will have a profound impact on our financial well-being in the future.
So what are like some steps people can take to become more informed and proactive about their retirement planning?
A great place to start is simply by educating yourself about the different types of retirement savings plans available, the potential risks and rewards of various investment strategies, and the factors that can impact your retirement income.
So it's about empowering yourself with knowledge and taking an active role in shaping your financial future.
Exactly. Don't be afraid to ask questions, seek out expert advice, and most importantly, start planning early. Even small, consistent contributions to a retirement savings plan can make a huge difference over time.
I'm hearing a recurring theme here, taking ownership of your financial future.
And recognizing that retirement planning isn't just about maximizing returns. It's about creating a secure and fulfilling future for yourself and your loved ones.
It's about having the freedom to pursue your passions and enjoy your later years without financial worries.
That's the ultimate goal, isn't it? To create a retirement that's not just about financial security, but about living a life of purpose and joy.
Yeah, it really feels like we're like on the cusp of a major shift in how we think about retirement and financial security, no longer just a concern for our grandparents on that porch swing.
It's a global conversation that's gaining momentum, and for good reason. The traditional models of retirement planning are being reshaped by demographic shifts, economic trends, and technological advancements.
It's a lot to wrap our heads around, but if we could distill all of this down to one key question for our listeners, what would it be?
I think the most important question to ask ourselves is this: in a world that's constantly changing, how can we create a future where everyone has the opportunity to retire with dignity and financial security?
That's a powerful question, and it's not one with like an easy answer.
Exactly. There's no one-size-fits-all solution, but that's also what makes it so compelling. It requires us to think creatively, to challenge assumptions, and to be open to new ideas and approaches.
So it's not about clinging to outdated models, but about being adaptable and forward-thinking.
Precisely. We need to embrace innovation, leverage technology, and foster financial literacy to empower individuals and create a more resilient and equitable retirement landscape.
I'm thinking back to that image of the interconnected web we talked about earlier. It seems like creating a secure retirement future isn't just about individual responsibility. It's also about collective action and systemic change.
Absolutely. We need to engage in thoughtful dialogue, consider different perspectives, and work together to build a system that supports the well-being of all generations.
So to our listeners, we leave you with this challenge. Don't just passively accept the status quo. Be curious, be informed, and be a part of shaping the future of retirement security, because it's a conversation that affects us all.
And remember, the journey to a secure retirement doesn't have to be daunting. By taking small steps today, by educating ourselves and engaging with these important issues, we can pave the way for a future where everyone has the opportunity to age with dignity, purpose, and financial peace of mind.
Really great insights today. Thanks for joining us.
It was my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
And to all our listeners out there, thanks for tuning into this deep dive on global pensions. Be sure to check out the show notes for links to all the resources we discussed, and we'll catch you on the next episode.